friends, welcome to the 9th episode of our Gift Shop application series. In this video, I'm going to integrate the APIs with our Ionic application. So the Laravel APIs which we created into our previous video, we are going to integrate that into our application using the HTTP request. So let's get started with today's video. Now this is our Ionic application which is up and running, and all the data that we have in our API service, it's all like static data, right? So how am I getting this data into my home page? Let's check it out. In the home page, I am getting this data by directly calling it here, right? Which I won't be doing now. So for rectifying it, means to call the data from the server itself, what we are going to do, I'm calling it a server because it is a local server which we have created just now. Let me remove this items array. I don't need to work with that, or let me comment it for the time being. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll create a function called get gifts. Okay. Let me make G be capital. All right. And I'm going to use the HTTP client here, for which in the API service, I'll use inject function in this particular way. Private HTTP equals to inject. Then I'm going to inject this, or import this HTTP client here. But by doing that, still it won't work. And why is that so? Because in the main.ts file, as this is a standalone project, in the ng modules, if you're using it up, you have to go to app.module.ts file and add HTTP client module there in the imports one. If you're using standalone one, then you have to do what I am doing right now, is basically provide HTTP client. Okay, this is how you have to do it. All right, once you do that up, you can directly use it. Okay, so this is done. Now I'll simply use it here. Now I'll create try catch block here in this way. In the catch block, I'll simply throw the error if I catch any error. And in the try block, I'm going to get the result. So constant result will be equals to await this dot HTTP dot. I'm going to call the get function here, which will be of type, let's say any, or if you don't give it also, still it's fine. So let me just remove it. Okay. And I'm going to pass the URL. So what's going to be the URL? Well, the base URL, I need to pass it in the environment one. So I'll go to the environment files. Where is it? This is the one. In both ones, I'll pass something. And what will be those? Well, I will pass the server URL, which is going to be server URL. This is going to be my URL. Okay. And also the base image URL, I'm going to pass it here because I know that's going to be the URL for the time being whenever I need. Mostly it will be required in the cart page. There I might be using it up. So I've just given it. We'll use it later on, but the server URL will definitely. And I'm going to do the same for this particular one also. Just pass a comma and have both the properties here. We are good to go, right? Let me close this files, even this one also for the time being. Let's go to API service, and here what am I going to do? I'll call environment, hit enter. It will be imported from environment/environment, and in production it will be changed to .prod file. Then dot server URL plus, because that's just the base URL we need to add to get the gifts. So I'll just add gift here, and that's it. Now I'm getting an error here because for using await, I need to pass here async. Now the error will go away and I can simply return the result in this way. That's it. Okay. So the query is ready here. Now I need to call it in my home page. Let's check it out. What exactly we need to do here. Let me remove this. And instead of this, I am going to pass constant data will be equals to await this dot API service, which is directly going to be coming from API dot get gifts function. Okay, that's what I'm going to call, and I need to make it async to use await here. And this one will also come within the try catch block. So I'll just log the value here for try catch and move this data towards the top in this way. Now I'll simply check here if data exists. So let me just log the data value so that we can see in log what exactly we are going to get. If data exists, then only I'm going to go ahead. This dot all items, I'm going to initiate it with the value of the data that I'll be getting from there, because in the backend, what am I passing? Let's check it out in the controller. So for getting the data, I'm passing it in the data, right? That's how I'm passing it. So I need to call this data here. I'm getting an error here because I really have to pass it of type any, as it is of what type it is not defined here. So once that is done, the error will go away and we can fetch the data if we have the data. Just remember that. And after that, we need one more thing, which is the server means image based URL, which we are also sending it up from the backend, and we have to catch it here, for which I'll create another property, create it here, which will be of type string. Okay, and let me give a not symbol to make it not empty. All right, once I do that up, I'll just initiate it here. This dot server will be equals to data question mark dot server base URL. Okay, and finally I'm going to have this particular code also. So once we do that up, let's check it out. I'm getting an error here. Why is that so? That's coming from the search one. Let me comment it, because we need to get it from the server itself. So I need to create another query for that in the server. All right, this is solved. Where else I'm getting the error? It's in the detailed one. So let me do one thing in the API service. Let me uncomment it up once again to like just get rid of the errors at first. Let's try it one by one. So in the home page, as of now, I'm not getting any data here. So let's just reload and let me check what error am I getting here is. Okay, I'm getting an observable. I think I have done something wrong. Let's check it out. Okay, fine. This is actually an observable, because this get function will return, it returns an observable of the response body. Now, in order to just transform it into a promise, I need to do something. I need to wrap it out into another function called last value from or first value from, because toPromise is not in use anymore. It is deprecated, and the alternative of that is last value from and first value from, which you need to import from RxJS. Let me just show you. This is the one. Once you do that up, you just see we are getting the data here, except the images. Now, in order to get the images, I have to do certain changes into my homepage HTML. So in the homepage HTML, like I have already got the server URL, right? So I need to append that up here, where it is. This is the one, server plus, this is how I'll get it. There you go. I'm getting the server data here, right? Now this is done. What's the next step which we are going to work with, which will be actually the search one. So search query we haven't created yet. Let's create that quickly. What I'll do is, let's go to the home page, and for the search one also, which I commented, I have to call that out. And for doing that, I'll actually execute the similar functionality. Let me just pass the functionality here. Again, I have to pass a sync. Okay, so I'm calling the same stuff, but I will call the search gifts, another function which I'm going to have it in my API service. Just now I'm going to pass that up, where I'll pass the query directly, and then if there is any data in the response, then I'll update my server URL, whichever it is, and then finally I'm going to get the gifts. It's not going to be, it's going to be data here. Okay, so in the data I'll get the gifts and I'm going to pass it here. Now the main thing which you need to see here is that I'm not updating the all items. Why? Because in the all items we are fetching all the gifts at once, so I'm not doing that up whenever there is a search one that is going on. But in case you have pagination done, like you have 10 items and again you are calling for 10 items and you're searching there, then you need to work with the all items, or you need to append the data, whatever you want to do. So be careful what exactly you are doing here. I'm just updating the items here, and whenever required, like I have done here, if you do not have anything in the search one, then it will take the value of the all items. Okay, that is what I'm doing. So be careful according to the request or according to the data that you have, manage these things accordingly. Let's go to API service now and create another function. It's going to be the similar one. So let's copy and paste it again. This is going to be search gifts, in which I'll get a parameter which I'll call it as query of type string. And in this particular one, let me just break it down by formatting the data. Now it is nice and beautiful to watch. So this time in the get one, I will send some data also. How will I do that? I'll pass a comma here, and I have an option to pass params. Okay, within the params I will pass the query here, okay, whose name will also be query. So this is how I'll do it. All right, so this is how we can pass the params. And in the Postman, if you want to do that, how you can do it? Well, you have to say like this is a gate, and in the params, this is the params, you have to pass the data here, key and value. That's how you can do it. So here, like our key will be query, and the value will also be whatever we pass it in the query. Okay, this is ready now. And what I'll do here is I'll go to the backend, because I need to create the search gifts route along with the functionality also, which I'll do it actually in the index one only. So I'll just get the request here this particular way. And what I'll do now is I'll remove this gate one, because I'm going to add additional queries here. So for adding the additional queries, I will at first fetch the data from our request. So $query, any function, any name I have given to a variable, which will be equals to request. Then from that I'll get the query in this particular way. Once I get the query, I'll simply check if this query exists or not. So you can use an isSet function also. Use it, isSet function. If this value is available, then only I'll go ahead. So this is the mechanism of working with the isSet function. If it is there, then $gifts will be equals to the same query I'm just using and the same variable. We can change that up. $gifts, whatever the value is there, in that I will apply a where clause. But this where clause is pretty different, where I will have a function actually to work with. So in the function, I'm going to pass, let's say, any query, whatever query we have till now, I'm going to pass that up. And it's going to use what? The query which we have got, or you can pass request also, it's up to you. And this is how a functional where clause can be prepared. This is where you pass the data, and this will be your actual query on which you are going to execute. So here I'll call QRY, where actually I'm going to return this data. This is how we do it, where I'm going to apply a where clause in which I'll search for name if there is any name which is matching the query, and I'm going to apply two conditions. So that is why this function is very much important, because there is a single where clause in which I'm applying multiple where clause. And how this where clause will be done for checking the names. So name, after name you give a comma, and the check operator is like this time, not equals to or something. We are going to check for like, comma, then I'm going to append the percentage. So whatever you pass, like say A, B or whatever, if that string or that character matches with the string that you have in the name one, then it's going to return something. Okay, now you can just close this statement here, or if you want to execute more, then what can you do? Like I want to do something more, so I'll have another or where query. So this is like either this or this. Okay, so I want not only to check on name, but also in the description too. So I'll just pass here description, spelling is wrong, BS, and the same stuff. So let me copy and paste it here. So I'm checking in two places, in the description and in the name. If it matches with anything, it's going to show up. So if you want not to pass or not to look for the description, you can simply remove this code up till here, but you need to pass the semicolon. Remember that. It's completely your choice, but I wanted to show you this part. That is why I have included description. Now once this is done, still the query is not completed, as we need to get the data. Remember, we have removed the get function here, so we have to pass the get function in this particular way. So finally this particular variable will have the final query, whatever we have from these three things. Okay, then the server configuration will be same, and rest of the data will be same as it is. Now what I need to do is, in order to get the data, I need to change the query, and for doing that up, not change, actually add one more. I will go to api.php one, and actually if I don't do anything also, still I think it should work. Let's check it out without doing anything. So I have already passed the route as gift and this query, so no need to change because I'm passing it in the params. It will take it with this query also. Let's try it. What I'll do is I will go for search, and let me search for surpr. Let's see what happens. I'm not getting any data, I think. Okay, there is an error here. What's the error? It is saying object of class. So now why this error is coming up, let me just show you. That is why I have left some things for you to understand, and this is how I'm going to make you understand. Here we are directly calling the query, but this is a param one. So sometimes what happens is if you're calling it directly, it won't take the data. We have to pass it actually by wrapping it in a get function in this particular way and pass it within that. Once I do that up, the param data will be ready, and if I call it now, let's try with passing I here. I think I should get the data. Yes, we are getting the data. So this is very much important to understand. Okay, it's not required in the post request, but in the get request it's must. So now we are getting proper data. Let's try with some. I'll just pass only S. We are getting the data to U. Okay, some data is coming up. Great. If I remove everything, I'll get whole data. So it's working properly. Now I need to go for single item one. Let's go for it and do it. For which I think in the home page we don't need to do anything else. Let's jump into the item detail page. So in the item detail page also we need to do similar stuff into the get item one. So same thing we are going to implement here by removing this, or let me just comment this up. And what am I going to do is I'll use the try catch block once again. So I'll just paste quickly. Here there are little changes which I've applied. So I'm going to tell you that. Let me make it a sync to get rid of the error. So in the API service, I'm going to create another function called get gift by ID, which I'm just going to create it. And I'll get the server URL also by calling a variable, which let me just pass it here. Okay, of type string. All right. And a not symbol. The errors are gone to a great extent. Now let's go to API service and create this function here, which is going to be same as this one, but there will be a slight change in it. So get gift by ID, that's gonna be the one where this will be the ID, and I'm going to call it using the get one only, but I don't want to pass any params. Instead, what I'll do is remove all of it. I have to append here with a slash. I need to append the ID here. That's what I need to do. Okay, so once I do that up, let's check it out whether it works or not. Okay, let me refresh it. Why am I not getting the data? Okay, I think I made a mistake in the detail page. This should be data gift. Oh, sorry, not gift, data. So I think this time I'm going to get the data. Yes, I'm getting the data now, because in the backend, what we have done for getting a single record is in this show function. You remember, I think, right? We have passed data, not gift. So sometimes it happens that we mix up. That is why I'm keeping the same name everywhere, so that we don't get mixed up. Now it won't happen. So once this is done, we are not getting the image yet. In order to get the image, I need to go to the HTML. And what I have to do here is in the, where it is, where am I passing the image? Please let me know. Okay, this is the one, background image. I need to append server URL also here. Then I'll be able to see the, that's how it is working. All right, once that is done, everything is good to go. Now I have to prepare the card data with this particular records now. So let's do it. Now let's check the card part here. Do we need to make any changes? Okay, when I'm adding it to the card, what is happening here is, this is fine. Let me go to add quantity. Okay, let's check it out here. Now here I'm going to make a little change. What's gonna be that? I'm not going to track it by ID. Instead, I'm going to track it by item ID. How this can be done, let me just show you. So item.item ID will be equals to this. I'm going to modify the data that I'm inserting in the cart, because when we add this data to the server, it's going to be having a normal ID for that. How are we going to insert it? Well, it's going to be an order. So order will have lots of items, and I'm going to separate the order and order items in different tables. So order items will have an ID for each item. In that case, this ID and that ID is going to clash, which I don't want. That is why I'm renaming it as item ID. And mostly I need to do it in this particular place. And I'll do it by just replacing it with this data. Okay. So in the array, I'm passing the whole data now. And in the ID, I'm just replacing it with item ID and passing the date ID value here. Okay. That, and rest of the things is the same. There is no issue with that. And the only things which I want, I'm just passing that up. Like rating, I don't want, so I'm not passing it up. Anything else if you have, which I'm not passing, like the status, I'm not passing it up. So pass only those data which you need to insert in the actual database. So that is what I'm doing it here. or you can do it later stage at a later stage also, but I think it's better if we do it here. We can insert it directly. And similarly in the else condition also I'll do the same stuff. So let me just remove it and have this kind of a data where I'm preparing the data and then finally inserting it here. That's it. Hope it's clear to you. Same stuff, only just adding the data that we need. Okay, and the rest of the data is of no use to us because it is not making any impact into our application so far. So I think it's so far so good. And in the subtract quantity also we need to do the same thing. I'll check it by item ID. Okay, and let's scroll it towards the bottom. Well, I don't think anything else I need to do here. So everything is clear. Let's try it now. I'll go here and add it to cart. One more data I'm going to add it. Let's add it up. Let's go to the cart now. Okay, the images are not coming up because our server URL is different. For doing that or for solving that problem, what I need to do is I will go to the cart page now. Let's go to the cart page TS file. And you remember I did something in the environment one. So I have added the server image based URL here directly, which I'm going to implement now in the cart page to get rid of this problem. So in the cart page TS file, I'll just scroll down here and I'm going to create a property called base image base URL, which will be equals to environment, which I'm going to import it from here, dot server image base URL. I'm going to get it from the environment, and then I'll pass it in the HTML in the for loop for the cover image. Okay, let me give a space, otherwise it will replace it. Image base URL, then a plus symbol, and you will see the value. That's how it is working. Okay, we got the data. Let's try it. Okay, something is wrong here. Let me check the cart service. Have I made any mistake here or not? In the add function, well, it seems okay to me, but still this ID is not matching. I need to check it. Why is that happening? And for doing that, okay, let me check the data that I'm getting here. So at first, let's clear all of it. Get back. Now let's try it again. I'll add something. Get to that. Hit on add. It's not working. Let me clear it again. And this time I'll add and check it now. I'll go to the application here and we'll check this particular record. So here in the item one, it is saved as item ID. That's pretty fine. Now what's the data I'll be getting? I need to track it down, which I'm going to just do it here. Console.log data, not data, it's going to be item actually. All right. And I'll go to the item detail page also just to track it down whether I'm passing proper data or not. So this seems to be fine. I don't think there will be any issue here, but let's check it out. What data do we get here? Let me open it up, the log, clear it. And if I go to the cart, hit the plus button. So this is the data I'm getting. Okay, in this data, I'm getting actually the item ID, which is not true, which should not be there. But why it's happening? Okay, let me check the item detail page once again, because I'm doing something here which is not impacting anything. Let me try to do one more thing here. I'll remove it and create a constant called item, which will be equals to a copy of this dot item. Fine. I think that will do the trick mostly. I'll pass the item here because I don't want to like edit this up. This should be the same. Now let's try it once again. I'll clear it, go back, add the data, check it out. And this time, if I clear it up, okay, I'm adding it from here, right? So if I'm adding it from here, I need to do something in the cart page also. So let's go to the cart page. I got the problem. What is happening here is from the cart page, if I'm trying to add, okay, this is the one. There is a problem that is existing here. So basically what is happening is in this particular one, we have the item underscore ID, right? Because that is coming from the cart service itself. So in that scenario, this ID won't match. So in order to solve this problem, what I can do is let me integrate, let me create a constant call item data, which will be equals to, or I can do it directly here. Let me pass it as an object I'll make a copy of it and integrate the ID here, in which I'll pass item underscore ID from the item itself, question mark dot. Okay, so this is how I'm going to prepare the data, right? Let's format it. So this will help me to get the ID also. Now if I add this up, just check it out, it's working, right? And what data I will be getting, let's check it out, that part also. In the cart service, I have one record in which this is the data which I am having. So there is no ID stuff or anything, but I'm passing the ID here. So this solves my problem. Again, the same thing, I'm going to do it here also. If I'm subtracting it, so let's copy and paste it here too. All right. So this will help me with the issue which I'm facing. Let's try it. So from the subtraction one, I think I'm only applying it in the cart page. So in the cart service, what am I tracking for this particular one? I'm checking for the ID. That's fine. That's fine. That's pretty okay. So let's try it. If I go for subtraction, just see it is working pretty nicely. So the problem is solved now. We have changed the ID to item underscore ID, and it is still working everywhere pretty nicely, right? Let me add few more data and then we will check it. What's wrong? It's added. One more I'm going to edit. Okay, let's try it now. There you go. If I add another one from here, let's see whether it works or not. Okay, it's working. Great. So it was 2, it becomes 3. If I add one more from here, it becomes 4. There you go. It's working nicely. No issues here. So our up till cart, we have achieved everything so far. No issues at all, right? Now we need to get the coupons also. So this coupon part, we need to get it dynamically, this data. And for doing that, what I have to do is I have to create another API. So I'll go to the API service, and instead of getting the data from here, I'll get it directly from the API. But in the backend also, we have not created anything for the coupon. So I have to prepare all of that stuff. Now let me remove the items one. It's not needed anymore. I won't get any error for that, right? And for this coupon one, let's execute that up. I'll go at first to the backend part. And what am I going to do? Simply going to execute some code. So the command that we worked with is this particular one for our gift to create the model and everything. Now I'm going to go for coupon. Okay, let's create that. So coupon is created with migration here. Great. I'm going to create one for the address one also, or should we do it later on? Let's do it later on. The address part. Let's finish off the coupon first. Along with that, I need to create the controller also. This will be the command, and the name is going to be coupon controller, and then the resource files I'm going to create it, but I just need only to get the records, right? And actually to insert also, bulk insertion will be there. So let's go to coupon one, but before that I need to prepare the data. So I'll just quickly prepare the data. I have already shown you the drill how to do that. So all the data that we have into our dummy one, means the data that we have here, okay, I'm going to pass the same stuff only. So this is the table that I have prepared, where I have code is percentage, description, is active, expiry date, discount, which will be by default 0. If you have any, you can simply pass it. Minimum order amount will be by default 0, and description is nullable, and I have given it as text. Percentage is percentage, I have given it as boolean, is active boolean, and expiry date I am saving it as a string. Then discount will be an integer one, and the final one will be a decimal one. Okay, you can pass 10,0 also if you want to. Let me pass it. I think that would be fine. Okay, so this is how the data will be prepared. Let's migrate it. So PHP artisan migrate function command will be used to migrate it. This is done. I'll go to now coupon model to have our fillable here. So for the fillable one, I will use it directly. Code, discount, description, is percentage, is active, expiry date, and minimum order amount. So all of it is passed here. Now I'll directly move to the coupon controller. So these are the basic drills which I have already shown you, so you don't need to worry about it, and you can directly implement it up. Now what I need to do is I need to create first of all bulk insertion, because we already have the data in JSON format and directly we can insert it. So I'm going to use the same functionality which we did for our gift one, which is this particular one, bulk insertion. So this time it's going to be coupons data which I'm going to get. Then I'll insert the coupon in this particular way. Finally we will get the response, and in the response I'm going to send the data. That's what I'm going to do. But in order to use this coupon here, we need to pass it or import it actually. So use app /models/coupon. Fine. Now we won't get any error and it's going to work. How to use it? I'll go here and create another collection called blank collection. That's going to be fine. Which I'm going to name it as, rename it, directly passing it here, coupons. Okay. So in the coupons one, I'm going to add a request which is going to be named as bulk coupon insertion. Okay, that's going to be the name. The URL, well, that's going to be the URL, but this time it's going to be different, coupon insert or something. I'll give it later on. And it's going to be a post one where I'll pass the data. Okay, it's going to be www form URL encoded one, because we don't have any image or something here, so it will work pretty nicely for us. But actually we are going to implement the bulk insertion, so I'm going to go for the raw one like we did earlier, right? So this is prepared. Now what I'll do is I'll go to the backend once again, and for this functionality to work I need to pass it in the routes one. So in the route one, what I'll do is, where is the route one? This is the one. Let me create one route for this. So this is going to be gifts, not gifts, sorry. This is going to be coupons one, and the earlier one was for, let me show you this one also, include that part also. This is the gifts routes. This is the coupons one which I'm going to have just now. All right, this is the one. This is going to be post one, bulk coupons, the name that I'm going to pass, which will call the coupon controller class, and the bulk insert will be called here. And we just have to import it or use it in this particular way, pass the proper URLs, and you're good to go. Now this particular one, I need to pass it in the front end and we can check it out. So let's try it here at first. Obviously I'll try it here for insertion. Let me pass the URL, and this is going to be post one for the data. Let me copy it from here directly. So I'll just copy this whole array, copy it and pass it here in this particular way. I think that will be enough to work with. Let's try it. I'll just hit the send button and we get success, right? Let's check it whether it is inserted or not. So I'll just move to, let's reload it, and I'm going to get the coupons one. Well, nothing is inserted here, because this format is not proper. So I need to get the proper format data, as this should be within quotes, right? That is why it's not working for us. So you need to remember all these things. I have to convert this. Let me do it and then I'll come back. Now here you can do it pretty easily by using ChatGPT. So I have just passed the stuff here and I'm converting it by passing the query that please convert it into a raw JSON format, and it is giving me a proper format. So I'll copy it up and go to the postman once again, replace all of it. Once that is being done, I'll hit the send button, and I'm getting actually an error here. Insert data doesn't match. Okay, fine, because this is percentage should be instead of true it should be 1, and is active also should be 1. Okay, so I'll just send a query once again that change false to 0 and true to 1. Let's check it. It's being done. Great, loving it. So some of the stuff, it's pretty easy with ChatGPT. I have seen it works fine. I've not made a video on that earlier because I thought like if there is something which is very important, then I'll let you know. Now let's try it up. So I'll just replace all of it. Let's try it. Okay, still something is missing actually. Why? I got the problem. The problem was not that. So let me undo it. I'll just keep the true and everything. The problem is that in some of the cases, we do not have the minimum order amount, right? So in like this one, we do not have the minimum order amount. So I need to pass it as 0 here. Okay, then only it's going to work. because this is sequential data that we are providing in MySQL. So you have to be very careful with that. I think now it's gonna be fine. There we go. It is inserted now. Let's check it out. What data do we have here? 4 records are created. Voila, everything is fine. I think, yeah, it's good. Great, I'm loving it. Now it's time to fetch this data. For fetching it up, I'll go to the front end. This is my front end, where I'll go to API service file, in which this is the function, and let me just remove it. I don't need it anymore. I'll remove it, and I'll remove this one too. I don't need it. I need to get the active data, remember that. Also, I'll check the expiry date now. I have not checked it in local data, but I'll check it there. So if you want, you can just comment this particular line for you to remember what we have done earlier. And the code that I'm going to implement is the same that we have done for gifts and all other stuff. I'll make it async await, try catch stuff. I'm going to use it here. Let me break the code down properly. So here, just the same stuff. I'm just replacing gift by coupon. That's it. Okay. And we will get the response in the data. That's what I'm going to return, the data. All right. And if there is no data, I'm just simply going to return null here. That's what I'm doing in the coupons one. So I'm getting an error here in the coupon component, where it is in the coupon component. All right. I need to change this stuff also, which is going to be await. All right. And then I have to map the data. So for mapping this particular array, I'll pass any array. If I do that up, this error will go away because it is not detecting that whether it is an array or not, this coupons one. So once I do that up, the problem is solved for us. Okay. Now I don't think there is any error. I think we can try this. I'll go for apply coupon. I'm not getting any data here because I do not have any API as of now. That is why if I just check this out, I'm getting an error, right? So now what I'll do, I'll go to the backend once again, and here I will prepare it up. So this is ready. Now it's time to do the next part, which is to fetch the data. I'll go to coupon controller to the index function here, in which at first I need to get the current date, because if I get the current date, I can check with it the expiry date and match. If the expiry date is greater than or equals to the current date, then I will fetch this data along with the active one. Okay. So in order to do that, I need to use something called carbon here to work with the date. So this is also there by default. You need to just pass this use carbon/carbon. Okay. Once you pass that up, you can use the date functionality, means the date queries that we will be running just now. So the first one which I will be running is to get the current date, which will be equals to carbon, which is a class, and it has a function called now function, which is to get the current date with time it will give you, and I'm going to convert it into a date string, which will give me the exact date which I need, only the date part. Okay. So this is ready. This is how I'll get the current date, because we have saved it as a string format, right? You remember the expiry date, so we have to match it in that particular manner only, otherwise it's not going to work. Once that is done, I will have my coupons variable, any variable you can pass, where I will check on coupon colon where is active, value is true. I can pass true also or 1. Okay, anything you can pass, and I can get the data in this particular way. Let's check it out at first, this particular part, then I'll go for the current date one. So what I need to do is in the api.php, I need to pass same as this resource one. So let me just do it. Just I need to change it to coupon and coupon controller. Coupon controller is already imported, so we don't need to do anything else. It's time to test it. So we will check it into our front end now in this particular way. If I go to the coupon one, I'm not getting the data yet. Why? It's time to check it because of this particular thing. Okay, I'm getting this thing and I'm getting the error here. All right, in the give save amount, I'm getting an error. What about the data which I'm getting? I need to just log the value of it, for which I'll go to the API service, and once I get the data, I'll just log the value here. Okay, before passing it, result, fine. Now we will be able to check what's the value that is coming up here. Let's check it out. Okay, I'm getting an error here into the gate coupons one. Let's check it out. What's the problem here in gate coupons one? Alright, there is one thing which I need to pass is a question mark here. If I don't pass a question mark, if the length is 0, it's not going to go. Now let's try it once again. Okay. This time what's happening here is coupon data undefined. Well, actually, I think I got the problem. Basic problem actually. What I have done is there is a simple problem which is occurring and you will laugh at me because I'm not returning any data here. So how will I get the response there, right? So let me return something. I'll just have the same return function here. So now this is our response that I'm going to throw in the front end. It's time to try it now. I think I'll get the response this time. Let me click on it and we are getting the proper response here, which is great in fact. So I think I'm good to go with this. We'll try to remove some data. Well, if it is 0, it's not getting removed. That's one of the things which I need to tackle. Alright, I'm into the card service and there is a minor issue because of which this problem is coming up. That's because in the data here, I am just passing the model data, not passing the items here, which we are getting by filtering it up. So I need to pass it and then the problem will go away. So I'll just pass it in this particular way. Fine, let's check it now. So if I just do something, let's say I add something here and subtract it this time, it's gone. So this is working now. This was one of the bug which we had into our template also. So we have fixed that now. So this problem is solved. We are getting the coupon data also. There you go. Add this much more to avail this offer. This is working fine. Now it's time to do something into our backend for the expiry date. Let's do that. Now let me break this down. And I left another query here called where date. So in the where date, it's same as where function only. Just need to pass the property or the field that we are going to use. This is the expiry date field. And then the operator symbol, it should be greater than equals to, then the value, that's what you have to pass. And it's actually where date means it's actually working with the date part. That is why I'm using where date function here. Okay, so you need to know certain functions. The basic functions I have already explained. This is something which I have not used it earlier. This is new for you if you haven't used Laravel earlier on. Okay, don't need to worry. It's pretty simple and same. Just use it only for the date. Remember that. Now let's try it. What data do we get into our front end for this? If I just remove it, go to the coupon once again. There you go. We are getting the same data here. Okay. So it's working for us. Now the coupon part is almost done. We don't need to do anything here. The only thing that is left is this shipping detail part. And this shipping part, I'm going to cover up with the authentication one. So for this particular video, this is it. We have seen how to integrate the Laravel APIs with our Ionic application. We have seen how to create more stuff, how to use the where clause and all of the stuff. Okay. So I hope you are liking this series. Let me know in the comment section, guys, and hopefully you will fill the comment section with your queries also. Okay. With that being said, I leave it to you to watch all the description and the comment section, which is in the pinned one, to look for all the links that I have provided for my courses, my templates, and for this series too. With that being said, I'm going to wrap up for the day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you next time.